Okay, I said at the beginning of my juggling stick video that I was going to show you how to make juggling sticks and floggers, and halfway through that process I realized that there was just enough differences between the two that it was better to just keep them separate. So I have, these are 5/8, but you can also use 1/2 inch dowels for the flogger handles, and I normally just measure them by my hand. These are actually cut a little bit short for me, but they'll still work. Also, same supply list: staple gun, scissors, hammer, E6000, duct tape, um, electrical tape, and this, of course, is from Daryl's Motorcycle Shop. Um, it is a upcycled, about to be upcycled, motorcycle inner tube, and I have just cut a strip off of it. It's still attached just in case I need it longer, but I like to be able to keep it wide if at all possible as well. I've also already pre-cut what is going to be the tassels for our flogger. You can see at the bottom that they are, here, let me hold it up straight, that they are already a little bit irregular. And it's just due to the nature of the rubber because it's curved for a motorcycle inner tube. And so what I do is I go ahead and make all my general cuts, but even after you attach it, oftentimes it'll still be misshapen. So instead of having to cut it shorter and shorter and shorter, I put my slits in and then I save the final make it nice and pretty and even cut for very last. So first step, real easy, I like to measure for myself arm strap. Here, I'm going to show you one of my floggers so you see what the finished product is that we're going for. Here we go. Okay, so some of the elements are your strap, because it's fun to be able to play and forget about it. And having looked at different floggers online, another element is where you wrap it at the bottom to match the top, but it also ends up covering some staple holes and stuff like that too. Same thing, it's very green, saving something from a landfill. Rubber, you have to pay to recycle it as opposed to getting paid for recycling it, so they keep cutting down trees for something that's very highly recyclable. But it is biodegradable and a lot more fun if we can get our hands on it before it disappears. So, step 1, measure for your hand. You want it to be able to go off and on real easy, and so I just eyeball it. I make sure it's, that it would more likely fall off my hand than get stuck on it, and still leave about 1 inch. So hopefully you guys saw that. I'm not liking this webcam on my computer. Somebody pray that I find the memory card for my camera, because the video is so much better. Okay, so the first thing we need is our arm strap, and this just gets stapled on. There's one. If you like, you can put some glue on here, make sure it stays, but because it's going to get glued and taped and all of those other things again before this is all said and done, I just staple the suckers on here. All right. Now, I can tell that this strap is obviously a bit shorter than what I'm going to need, but I think I'm just going to hold off and tape it in a little bit. Now, for my juggling sticks, this stuff tends to be two-sided. For example, if you can see, there's some sort of stamp here. I also had some numbers and lettering in the rubber over here, and so what I found is putting it through the washing machine after I've washed it off outside, gets all the powder off the inside and typically leaves a pretty nice even surface. It's not 100% perfect, but it always works up better if you're going for a nice smooth look. For the juggling sticks, I often use this side and let the numbers show and let the other things show because I think it adds a lot of character to what is upcycled art. But for the floggers, I like them to be a little bit more finished looking because these are not a child's toy, these are a grown-up toy for the most part. There we go. And so same concept. Now, since a whole lot of the top is going to get covered by the tassels when I put them on, I'm just worried about making sure it's nice and even as I go down. I don't stretch too much because I don't want to pull all the staples out. For the juggling sticks, I do tend to stretch my rubber a lot, mostly to make it last because you can't charge as much for them because they take so much rubber. But ultimately because these sell better and materials cost isn't such a big deal. See, it's too short. Because I'm upcycling these as it is, I go ahead and try to make them as nice and finished looking as possible. Alright. Now see, if I had cut that, I would have had to have cut myself another piece and end up with another remnant in my remnant box. So once I get to the bottom, wrap it around a couple times, make it nice and thick at the bottom as well. A little bit more. There's no set number. You want it to match what's going to be at the top for the most part, or for it to at least have a uniform look. And what's going to happen here in just a second is you'll see that I'm going to glue this on at the bottom as well. There we go. Okay. So this gets wrapped all the way on, just so. And this is how far we are. I have bottom, I have my strap, and I have the rubber wrapped around the handle part. And see, it's about hand size. That's why I stuck with it. I think it's going to work. Okay. So now that I have this the size that I want it, we glue the sucker on, and look, if you can see, it's oh so slightly curved, and that was just following the lines on the inner tube itself. That's something with working with this stuff being curved. I cannot get these lines just right, so you just have to roll it on there right. Doop. This stuff is perfect. It dries very, very quickly if you heat it up. If you want it to be pliable a little bit longer, it's good to work in either a lot of air conditioning or cold weather. And if you're working in a lot of air conditioning or cold weather and want it to heat up, having a blow dryer or a space heater nearby is very, very handy. Now, you already saw this step, how far we were, and if you saw the flogger as my example, you saw that a lot of these imperfections also get covered up with the decorative tape. And for this one, since I liked the tassels on my other set of juggling sticks so well, I'm going to use this plaid schoolgirl skirt looking thing. Another thing you can do, very much like I do with the tassels for the juggling sticks, is go ahead and line it with duct tape before you make your slits. It would make it super, super, super cute, and I meant to do that, but I didn't, and I don't want to make two. Or I don't want to make two this minute. This is our example. So, same thing, glue, once everything's cut, it goes together very quickly. Alright. And I left enough space down here to show me exactly where I wanted to roll it. Staples. Only thing you really need to make sure of there is that you're not stapling on top of another staple because you want that sucker to go in. And very carefully wrap. I like my lines to be nice and neat as much as possible, even though this stuff curves. Alright. Between the glue and the staples will hold it in place, but the glue will keep it in place. Alright. So, here we are. Put it this way. I have a little, now this don't underestimate it. The single ply roofing systems are thicker and this is softer, being the motorcycle inner tubes, but they still have plenty of bite to them. This of course being a smaller flogger. You know, you could hide this sucker in your purse as opposed to some of my big ones that would drape all the way down your leg. But that's a fun little project right there. Okay, so now we're going to finish it up real quick. Duct tape's great because it has all those fibers in there, and this also has a pattern. But because it has all those fibers in there, it's really easy to eyeball some pretty straight lines. Now, while I do this, I'll tell you some of the other finishing touches, but it's nothing that you're going to really be able to see. What I need to get is fabric paint, but what I've been using is black nail polish to finish off the inside here, and the tips here as well, so that nothing is catching your eye and you're wondering what's hiding inside the flogger. I go ahead and color it black. A Sharpie would work too, but I've just been going with the nail polish because it was handy. And about half and half should work for this just fine. So for this, I use a very similar process just in case I don't eyeball it right, because I don't want to stick it on and take it off and stick it on and take it off. Even though once I'm finished, I take my E6000 glue and I water it down with nail polish remover. And the reason I do that is so it'll be very spreadable. I can get a nice even tone. I go over the top of all of this so that I know it will stay in place. Alright, so since that's about right down the middle, that was the other thing I was using the paint for as well, plus to cover any imperfections in my tape. Not that everything I do isn't perfect, sometimes you need to make it more perfect. And that was plenty long enough, so that's excellent. Alright. Let's see, this is what I'm covering one more time. If you make your own, you'll see as well. But this part right here sticking out, it's real thick. You want to cover your staple anyway, but you don't want to just Sharpie it. But this does hang, and even if you glue it in place, it just doesn't look finished to me, which is why I go with the decorative. Okay, so obviously we're almost finished here. There we go. I have about killed my scissors cutting with rubber. Anybody wants to send me a utility knife? That would be awesome. I want mine in pink so no man can steal it from me. So anyway, outside of what I said was those absolutely final finishing touches where I color in here and I color in here, and I do like to cover this with a clear coat of my E6000 glue, because while This isn't going to move a whole lot. You still want something pliable on here. If I were to just use my nail polish like I would use here, it would be more likely to break because it's a hard enamel. So you want to use something soft and pliable. I think fabric glue would probably be perfect. I mean, fabric paint would probably be perfect. I just haven't picked it up from the craft section at Walmart yet. So, like I said, my handle's just a little bit short, but it still works. And I have a nice little flogger here with lots of bite to go with my flogger sets. So, any questions? Feel free to email me. Any requests? Let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed it.